Hola, hola! In this video, we will be reading, exploring the vocabulary, and discussing the responses to CSEC Spanish Paper 2, Reading Comprehension for January 2023. But first, are you new here? Please do not forget to subscribe, like this video, share this channel with your friends, and click the notification bell so that you can be notified every single time that I post a new video. Now let's jump right in. Family Seaside Adventure. Durante mi infancia, cada año mi familia y yo visitábamos una playa en la costa para pasar tiempo nadando, comiendo y jugando juntos. Lo más emocionante de este viaje anual es la aventura del snorkel para ver la gran variedad de peces. Mi papá normalmente alquilaba un bote para llevarnos a aguas más profundas. También explorábamos algunas cuevas cercanas, pobladas por murciélagos, aves y también plantas acuáticas. Durante mi última visita a esta playa, ocurrió un evento extraordinario. Mientras regresaba a la orilla, después de bucear con mi padre, observé un grupo de perros ladrando ferozmente a algunos pequeños objetos en la arena. A medida que el bote se acercaba, me di cuenta de que no eran simplemente pedazos y basura en la playa como pensaba, sino que en realidad eran tortugas bebés recién nacidas. Retorciéndose en la arena, estas diminutas criaturas trataban de regresar al océano. Al llegar a la orilla, rápidamente tomé un palo grande y alejé a los perros, tratando de proteger las tortugas mientras continuaban su camino al océano. Now let's read it in English. This can only be done if we already know the vocabulary. So let's learn some new vocabulary as we go along. During my childhood, each year, my family and I used to visit a beach on the coast in order to spend time swimming, eating, and playing together. The most exciting thing, or the most exciting part of this annual trip, is the snorkeling adventure to see the great variety of fish. My father normally used to rent a boat in order to carry us to the deeper waters. We also used to explore some nearby caves populated by bats, birds, and also aquatic plants. Let's stick a pin right here to talk about the verbs in this passage. So far, we are describing something that used to happen. And so the main tense for this passage is the imperfect tense. So we have the verb alquilaba, which is now in the imperfect tense. It comes from alquilar, which means to rent or to hire. Llevar is to carry. It can also mean to wear. So you would have to read the context carefully in order to decide on the meaning as it relates to the certain situation. Let's continue. During my last visit to this beach, an extraordinary event occurred. While I was returning to the shore after scuba diving with my father, I observed a group of dogs barking ferociously at some small objects on the sand. As the boat was approaching or getting closer, I realized that they weren't simply pebbles and garbage on the beach as I thought. But, or in contrast, on the contrary, in reality, there were recently born or newly born baby turtles. Let's pause to talk about the verbs in this paragraph. So we continue to use the imperfect tense as we continue to recall what used to happen during this speaker's childhood every year. Regresaba is the imperfect tense from the verb regresar, which means to return. Now, se acercaba is the imperfect tense coming from the verb acercarse, to approach or to get closer to. Now, this verb is in the present tense. Darse cuenta de means to realize. Darse cuenta de, I realized that. Let's read the final paragraph. Twisting themselves or squirming in the sand, these tiny creatures were trying to return to the ocean. Upon arriving to the shore, I quickly took a big stick and ran away the dogs, trying to protect the turtles while they were continuing their way to the ocean. Once again, we have trataban in the imperfect tense from the verb tratar, which means to try or to treat. So it also depends on the context in which it is used. Now we have the preposition al. We know al to mean to the. However, al actually has two meanings depending on what it is followed by. So al followed by a noun like a place, museo, supermercado, it means to the. Al museo, to the museum. Al restaurante, to the restaurant. However, if it's followed by a verb, as it is in this case, it now means upon. And the verb that follows al will always be in the infinitive because it is therefore saying upon arriving. Al llegar. Aleje is the present tense coming from the verb alejar, which is to run away or to move away or to chase away. So, now that we have explored the vocabulary and understood the passage, let's move on to the questions. Question A. Where did the narrator's family visit each year? Each year, the family visited a beach on the coast. Pay close attention to the marks allotted for each question. So, since it's 2 marks, we have to be extremely specific and give exactly what is said, not just leave it at a beach because on the coast was also mentioned, as we can see right here. Question B. State 2 activities the narrator enjoys doing with his family on this annual trip. So any 2 activities would give us 2 marks. Now 3 activities were mentioned. So we could say the narrator enjoys swimming and eating, or the narrator enjoys swimming and playing with his family, or the narrator enjoys playing and swimming with his family. Any 2 of these activities will work. Question C. What was the most exciting part of this trip for the narrator? The most exciting part of the trip was the snorkeling adventure or the snorkeling trip. The phrase that led us to this answer is lo más emocionante, as we had highlighted before, the most exciting part. Question D. What did the narrator's family normally rent and why? He normally would rent a boat to take or to carry them to deeper waters. So we have 2 reasons. What did he rent and why? So as we can see right here, he used to rent a boat, and this is the reason, in order to carry them, the narrator and his family, to deeper waters. Question E. Name 2 things that are found in the caves. As we had highlighted before, 3 things were mentioned: bats, birds, and aquatic plants. Feel free to go back in this video to look at the passage once again. Question F. What activity was the narrator returning from when he saw the dogs barking on the shore? He had stated that he was returning from scuba diving with his father. Now let's look at what pointed us to this answer. While I was returning to the shore after scuba diving. So this is the instance or the indication what he was returning from doing. And also we want to state not just scuba diving, but scuba diving with my father, because the question is worth 2 marks and we want to ensure that we answer explicitly what was said and give as much information as possible from the passage, because each word is worth a mark or half or quarter, and it adds up. Question G. What did the narrator think the dogs were barking at initially? As we previously explored, he thought they were barking at pebbles and the garbage on the beach. Why were the dogs actually barking? They were barking at newly born baby turtles on the sand, and we want to extract all of this vocabulary. So, vocabulary counts, and if it is that we did not know the vocabulary, we would have been at a disadvantage. Question I. How did the narrator react to the barking dogs? Explain. So this is worth 3 marks. We want to ensure that we extract every piece of vocabulary from that section. He quickly, which was the word rapidamente, we have to insert that. I'm sure it's worth a quarter or half mark. He quickly took up a big stick and ran away or chased away, kept away the dogs. So that was his reaction. And this is our explanation now. As a way of protecting the turtles while they tried to get back to the ocean. Now, please note that all of what I just said was not my opinion, but what was explicitly said in the passage. Let us take a look. I quickly took up a big stick and kept away the dogs. And this is our reason, this is our explanation. Trying to protect the turtles while they were continuing their way to the ocean. So this is your explanation. It came exactly from the passage. It is not an opinion question. And we have to ensure that we search the passage for the answers. Now, the final question is usually an opinion question. And this is where you have to justify your answer based on everything that was said. So, question J. Do you think the narrator's action towards the barking dogs was justified? Explain. Yes, I believe so, because had the narrator not done that, the turtles would have been in continued danger and would probably have been killed or prevented from making it back to the ocean. He did that to protect them. So we're explaining his actions. Do we think that it was worth it? Do we think that it was necessary? And I believe we can all agree that it was, because, as I explained here, the dogs could have put the turtles in danger. They probably wouldn't have made it back to the water. So this was all done out of protection. So write as much as we can to explain and justify our reasoning. And that brings us to the end of the passage and the end of the reading comprehension. I hope you learned a lot. Please stay tuned to my next videos, and all the best as you prepare for your examinations. Adios!